please, and it is not in order to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button and like. The character Zodiac Killer was a very scary serial killer, and in the period from the end of the 60s until the early 70s in Northern California, in the United States of America, Zodiac was born, which was later known from the press, as it was known that he killed 37 people, and it was confirmed that 5 of them were killed, and wounding 2, and the fate of the other victims who are said to be unknown, but there is a possibility that he killed about 20 to 28 people. He manipulated the police and they were unable to arrest him despite the coded messages and his warnings that he was writing about his next crime. It was his crimes from 1968. Then suddenly stopped, and then his file was closed in April 2004, but it was opened again in March 2007 through the California Department of Justice, and law enforcement agencies were able to know the descriptions of Zodiac after it was submitted by part of his victims who survived, and with this, they could not track him down, and many books and films were released about the Zodiac Killer. No decisive evidence of his identity was found, and the case is still ongoing in Riverside and Napa County. His first victim is a 17-year-old boy named David Faraday and his girlfriend Betty Lou Jensen, who were murdered on December 20, 1968. They were out on their first date and stopped by car in a remote area on the outskirts of Vallejo, California called Lover's Trail, according to forensic reports. The killer had taken a car, stopped it, and approached the 2 people on foot. The boy was shot in the head as he was getting out of the parked car, and the girl was shot 5 times in the back as she ran away. After this incident, on July 4, 1969, the 22-year-old Derlyn Farron was with her 19-year-old friend, Mike McGoo, and they were killed in a similar way. They were sitting in their car in a remote location in Blue Rock Springs, Vallejo, almost the same place as the first crime. Farron died instantly while McGoo was seriously injured. The next day, the police station sent a phone call from a man saying that he was responsible for the 2 accidents, and the police were unable to track down the killer. On September 27, 1969, another young couple were sitting together in a remote place on the shore of Lake Berryessa. He was wearing a hoodie with a circle and a cross on it, so a Zodiac tied the 2 of them with a rope before he brutally killed them, then killed them with a knife and left after drawing a circle and a cross on the door of their car. 22-year-old Cecilia Shepard died after 2 days in hospital, while boy Brian Hartnell survived to tell the story. On October 11, 1969, a man had rented a taxi to be driven by Paul Stein in San Francisco and for no known reason shot himself in the head with a caliber pistol and then took his wallet and car keys and tore his bloodstained shirt in front of witnesses who were shocked and then disappeared from the scene. And after 3 days had passed, he was sent. The Chronicle published a letter saying that someone was responsible for the murders, and warned that his next crime would be schoolchildren. On March 22, 1970, Kathleen Jones was driving with her 10-month-old daughter from San Bernardino to Petaluma, and a car behind her was honking and flashing her lights. He finished tightening the wheel and she drove her car. The wheel finally came out, so the man offered to take it to the gas station to be fixed. But after she got into his car, he went through many non-stop gas stations. Fortunately for Kathleen, he had to stop at an intersection when she jumped out of his car with her daughter hid within the fields, and later she recognized the figure of the man from the sketch shown by the police. Many other murders have been reported and linked to the Zodiac Killer without any conclusive evidence that he did it, including the shooting of Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards, who were shot dead on June 4, 1963, and the crime of 2 people who were on a beach near Santa Barbara, California. Sherry Jo Bates was stabbed at Riverside City College, California, on October 30th. In August 1969 he sent to the Vallejo Times-Herald and some other newspaper offices letters containing a coded scheme that the writer said, and the letters contained information that only the killer could. Understand, and each crime had a symbol for a circle with a cross on it, and one of the letters was signed as Zodiac, and the writer wanted the letters published inside the local newspaper, and he threatened to kill dozens of people over the weekend, if this was not published. He kept writing letters to law enforcement and newspapers aiming to get him arrested. He sent his name in a 13-character code and said there was a plot to kill a cop. This crime has been linked to the story of the shooting of Sergeant Brian McDonald in his patrol car. But the evidence was not conclusive. Zodiac liked killing people because this would make him feel joyful and that all his victims would become his slaves in heaven. He once wrote annoyed that people were not wearing buttons with the sign of the Zodiac. In July 1970, he wrote a letter including a song from the Mikado that had been returned. Putting it in his own words, it said he was preparing a list of methods to torture his slaves in heaven. Later, in the 1970s, Paul Avery, who was reporting on the Zodiac murders for the Chronicle, received a Halloween card with the note, "You're doomed." U and her signature Z with the Zodiac and cross symbol. According to the opinions of psychiatrists who studied these letters, he was a sick man suffering from isolation and loneliness, and he wanted attention to satisfy his instincts, as if he had no love affairs and could not bear the acne. It was said about the Zodiac killer that his stepfather, who is called Jack Tards, had sent Zodiac belongings and handed over many of the things that Zodiac was wearing at the time of his crimes. However, it was proven through DNA tests that they were negative, and in 2009, former attorney Robert Tarbox reported that a man came to him and confessed that he was the Zodiac killer. He said he wanted to fix what he was doing, but he never did. Through the police, the Vallejo police also found that his voice was identical to that of the killer of the Blue Rock Springs attack, but with all that, nothing was proven against him, and many others have said that they are a Zodiac character, but their stories are not completely in line with the known facts and proven, so the police did not follow up on these allegations.